come back from a shoulder injury during the summer, and I'm sliding on that shoulder. It's and then my other hand was out, my right hand, and it hurt a little, but it was all right. But as you know, the other thing that happens is like one of your leading leg on like your lead pedal, it'll go into the handlebars, and that's what causes you to boom, instantly scorpion. And it's like I felt and I saw right away that was already like swelling up insane. But I knew like that's just a bruise. That's okay. So I get up and I'm like, right, let's keep going. Let's keep going. They're like, wait, dude, hold on. Like I saw your feet in the air. Like you're not okay yet. And I did. I tried to get back on the bike, and I knew, like, well, that leg thing, like, I can probably make it down, and then, yeah, the rest of the day I'll be limping. I'll be, like, it'll swell up more, and that's when it'll start to hurt. But I'll survive down to the bottom of the trail. And then what happened, though, when I went to grab, and I get my shoulder, too. It was like, well, I can do this. I can lift it. I can move it. It's not, like, a rip, total tear. So, like, I'll get over it. But, yeah, the next few weeks will be rough. Or month. And then my right hand, though, when I went to like put it back on the bike, it was like, oh, no. Like, oh, shit. Ooh, fuck. And like, oh, uh-oh. And I was like, oh, no, dude. Something doesn't feel right with my wrist.
Something ain't right.
And I went to, so they helped me back down the mountain. They helped put my bike in my truck. And then it took me like 5 minutes to figure out how to like jump into my truck with that leg that doesn't want to like, oh, it's already, oh. And I just did like this butt jump, slid into there, called my friend Cynthia. She and her husband came over and helped me get my bike out of my truck, put it back in the side gate. I jumped in my car and went to urgent care. They had me sitting there for like 2.5 hours. And that's when like the adrenaline went away. Things started hurting. So I'm just sitting like panting like a dog in the urgent care. Like, I know that like if you start crying, it'll only hurt more. So I didn't cry, but I'm like right on the edge. Like, and I walked back there. They finally put me back in there. And like, they're like, well, your vitals seem kind of messed up. And like, are you having difficulty breathing? Like, no, I'm just in a lot of pain. Like, I've been here since like hours. I'm dying. And the doctor came out and, oh, well, you can move your elbow. Okay, whatever. Your wrist is like slightly swollen, but who knows? And then let me see your leg, because your leg's bad too, right? You were limping in here. Yes. And she sees that. She's like, oh, my God, you need to go to the ER right now. Like, if you have a broken femur and blah, blah, I'm like, it's not a broken femur. It's just a bruise. Like, yeah. I walked down the mountain and stuff. If it was broken, I wouldn't be stepping on it. But this, like, can I just get an x-ray? And she's like, do you understand? I was like, sorry. Yes, okay. And at that point, she's like, you need to, did you drive here? Yes. Like, well, you need to go either in an ambulance or somebody needs to come pick you up. Blah, 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 blah. So I got my brother-in-law to come. And he picked me up and took me to the ER, the hospital. And there they were like, yeah, your shoulder isn't like broken or anything. There's, obviously you can find out more with imaging what's exactly going on. Your femur's not broken. That's fine. It's just a big bruise. But you guessed right, like your wrist is broken. And that was always a big fear of mine because I've had friends and I know how delicate the wrist is.
Well, dude, you're a fucking fishing guide. Like,
yeah. And like I got to do things, with my right hand. So like, mobility issues later and fusing and things like that. But he said like, hey, it's of all the wrist injuries, like breaking, that is the best way to break it. So it broke just at like at the base of this bone right here. It kind of looks like your typical dog bone. And it was just a crack right down the middle. So it was like, yeah, at least like,
is that when you started getting into shape?
It was at the end of it, I would say. Okay. Yeah, it was.
Cause I think when I came out to do Robert and everyone, you were already like,
yeah, I was on it. Yeah, I had been. It's a year now. I had been since February.
Wow.
I had been like every day at the gym, and even so, I had my cast for 6 weeks. That was like really tough because I knew like this is gonna get really depressing. Like it's really hard when you go from doing a lot of things, being really active, to like now you can't do anything, including like put a shirt on is a struggle, and everything. So it was a right hand cast. It was all the way up above the elbow.
Aren't you right-handed?
So it was 90 degrees, and then the way that those breaks, he explained like I don't want you moving your thumb, so it's like I'm stuck like this, just like with my thumb up, 90 degrees, and I was still going to the gym.
Everyone's like, "Hey man!"
Yeah, it's like hey, hitchhiking, and I still went to the gym every day because I was like I don't want to put the weight back and all that, but. It was, that was also limited on the left shoulder, what that can do. The left shoulder still hurts, but it's like, hey, we're managing and we're making it back. So at least I can fish. and I can do
I'm
most
sure
other things
if you're
that I want.
right-handed, you couldn't beat off for fucking.
Yeah, no, but I don't beat on anymore anyways. So I quit that shit. There's good reasons to quit it.
Well, yeah, I mean, it looks like everything's pretty much back to normal.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a good thing, right?
Yeah. That's no surgery was huge. Like when they said like no surgery, and it's not one of those small delicate bones that really like are troublesome. They don't get a lot of blood flow to them, so they're hard to, they're hard to fix when they break. I just like, whew, okay, well at least it's not that.
Yeah.
So.
How's guiding going?
It's there.
Well, that's the only reason I ask is like I get like
obviously like my whole business changed when
that's what I'm
the
trying to
golden
say.
algae hit. It went from like come out, we can make this happen to like, well, if you want to come out for like a lesson kind of thing, it is still things that you could take back to any waters and do really good with. But it makes it hard when it's like we're not even getting a bite.
Are you focusing more on the fly stuff a little more? Because,
I've always kind of done that.
more because now it's more of like you can't really focus on.
I wouldn't say more, but I've always kind of switched them around like that. The fly stuff isn't great in the winter. Like, in the mountains we have snow, so some of those roads are closed. Those places are not fishing the best. So it does better in the summer, which is when like the swim bait fishing would calm down. So it always worked like that. And then the stripers, I was able to do a lot with the stripers, but it's more like local clients. Nobody's going to be coming out to Arizona to fish for striper. The stripers that we have at Lake Pleasant, I know like Havasu, the river has those kind of stripers, but the ones at Lake Pleasant, they're not big. Like they're getting bigger for us. We're super stoked. They are fun. I'm finding really cool ways to fish them that, again, things that you could probably take somewhere else and do really good on and find really big ones. But in the end, like our fish are not on average the size that someone would go fish a striper for, like not a destination place. So a lot of the local people are really stoked and they come out with me and I do get like good trips and some of that's on the fly, some of it on the big spoons. So it all has like balanced out, but I've had to learn to like those fall through spring months like have less.
What's been what have you done like differently to like kind of push clients in? You know what I'm saying?
Well, the stripers. The striper was the big
thing. So the striper, but now are you
push.
still doing the striper thing right now as well? Okay.
Yeah, I do anything that somebody wants. Carp on fly, it all goes in. So and there's things that kind of come into style and then they go away and now all of a sudden everybody will want to fish for carp and then not so much and then this and that. So we just go with the flow and luckily I have different avenues and ways to things that I can do. So it's not like I've ever just been this guy.
Buttholes.
Yeah, the air butthole.
There it is.
I had so many people tell me that shit. They go, hey, what the fuck is an air butthole? I'm like, ask fucking Manny and Purcell.
The snooty side of air gun hunting or air gun shooting. Yeah.
What did you guys come down here for?
We came down to finish up my captain's license with Matt Purcell. I had done that a year ago in the spring. And passed the test, like the hardest part. We did that, took the course, which like that one was I had all these plans laid out and people I was going to see, people I was going to fish with, this and that. I thought like, maybe it'll be like driver's ed type of classes, like they let you out early or something. And I remember driving home from the first day with Matt and it's like 6-7 p.m. I call up Mike Gilbert and I'm like, dude, I'm not going to see you. I'm not going to get to see you. Like, this is insane. This is like the last, this is like finals week in college. You haven't been studying shit all semester. And now all of a sudden, like, you got to pass this final. I was like, we got homework. We got shit to read. We got chapters. We got fucking like, no way, dude. This is insane. Like, I thought I'd be getting out early. Like, hell no. It's all the way to the line, Like, so it was a huge wake up call. But I did that, and then I almost slacked off. Like they give you a year to finish like all these other things. First aid, TWIC card is the last thing I have to do. But background checks, P tests, this and that, like physical. So I had to. Luckily, Matt found somebody that like is a liaison to it all, and he's like, dude, I found the lady. She makes it real easy. Come out, like it was like Wednesday night and he's like, come out Friday and like get it done. So I said, you know what, let's make a trip out of it, and brought Selina with me and we got to go
just
fishing.
To finish those last pieces.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, just to get it all done here and finish everything that I needed to submit that and slide on in at the last minute like always.
That's how it works.
Yeah.
See the color of your skin and get everything done the last minute.
It's hereditary.
Let's let's talk about your secret fish you caught here.
Okay.
Oh.
It was
'Cause
at
I
Lake
will-
Hood. Just kidding. Matt.
Yeah, Matt will
No,
get
Matt
mad
was
at
good enough to take us out on the boat.
Did you guys
and,
both catch fish?
I did, but she netted it for me. That was her first net job. I'm really proud of her. She did great.
I was on
Hey,
it.
that's
I was
big-
on
being
it.
a-
I beat
it's-
Matt.
I
I
tell
beat
her.
Matt to it.
Yeah.
That's hard to do.
She's very modest and wanted to like, it's no big deal. And they're like, no, you don't understand. Like friendships get broken over this kind of stuff.
Dude.
Like people will be
Dude.
losing
I was
fish.
on
So
it.
I caught it on a battle shad, Citizen, sorry, Mike Gilbert Citizen, and just reeling it in and felt that tick, tick, and like reeled down and bah, hammered them and like, ooh, it felt good right away. And I was like, I could kind of feel like this is a big one. It started dogging me some and the head came up and it was like, oh shit, like
this
this
is a
might be a
big
10.
one.
Yeah, like this might be a freaking my first California 10. Came up with the battle shad. I could tell it was really well hooked on the side, just totally in. So like not gonna lose it. And baby had the net out already. So like I liked where the net was positioned. I was like, oh, this will be easy. It's coming in. And slid it in. And then like we saw like, oh, the body is it was like 25 and a half inches and it only weighed out to like 730.
That's a great fish, dude.
Yeah, no, for sure. It was great. But it was
Hey,
all it was
that's
like
my
the
PB.
head.
Better than
Like
nothing.
the head was there. It was like when I saw that head, I thought, oh, this might be a 10. Like, especially considering the fish that are back home right now lately, they're like the small mouth type and they're weighing out a lot, but not very long.
Yeah.
So this one like kind of.
Well, that's super cool to come out here and actually catch.
Yeah, for
you
sure.
know, something big.
Yeah, and thanks to Matt, had
Yeah,
us in the right spots.
Matt's
as
an
always.
asshole as well. So like he what he'll do to me is he'll take pictures of these big fish that are over 7, my PB 7.
Yeah.
And he'll text message me and go, "Hey, just got 2 of your PBs. Hey, look at this." And I'm like, thanks. Thank you, fucking asshole.
Got a couple of your TVs.
But that's what makes it fun. Like busting balls is like that's the whole purpose.
For
of
sure.
Busting balls
And then,
and busting ass.
Yeah, right.
Busting
Already?
bass.
Already in front of the lady?
Busting bass.
Busting ass?
I try
in
not
front-
to. Opie. I'm like, Opie. That's gross.
He's fire
We
feet.
did have people comment about you remember Justin, the Big Fish Blues were talking about having like a what was it, the fucking like the organization that helped the fish come back together.
Okay. Yeah.
Has anything happened with that anymore?
No.
Nothing.
No.
No?
Not on my side of things.
No.
No.
I was just wondering, like, and people actually asked that question, was like,
Yeah.
hey, has any more people got involved to help push for the fish growth? Or
They
anything
have.
like that?
They have. And people will help stock certain lakes, but then I think there's other lakes that the Game and Fish doesn't like let them stock. But I've seen the Game and Fish out there putting in habitats, and there's definitely some work, but they'll never like restock bass. I think, or not never, but they don't usually. And the other thing, like they've learned a lesson too. They're like, hey, every X amount of years, like that algae happens, and it's gonna happen, and it's gonna wipe out everything that we've been working on. So let's kind of point our efforts at other lakes, I think is their theory. So there's other lakes that'll now get like Florida strain bass, and the top of that chain, Roosevelt, since it doesn't get it has that golden algae, but it doesn't have the problem with it. Like they kind of push efforts there. The really sad one is Apache Lake, which had their smallmouth. It was a really good fishery, and like I still, I've heard of people going and catching largemouths, but not smallmouth. So
That's horrible, man.
yeah, it's too bad. It's too bad.
Are you trying to focus on other lakes now since it's
Yeah. Focus on other lakes, and then like we're back on the Salt River chain too to like try to find a needle in a haystack, like whatever. That's
not hard.
I got a good one out of Saguaro the other day too, so that was cool.
No, I could imagine it could be really hard. You got fucking 2 things against you. You got
Mother Nature got me.
Mother Nature. You got fucking COVID.
She took her job.
COVID.
Mother Nature at its finest.
You got COVID, which my first scare I ever had was from Manny. And the first trip I went on, Manny goes, "Hey, dude, I think I got COVID. You guys might have it." I'm like, "Hey, I'm dead. I'm fat. I'm dead."
They stayed at the house, so it was like
I'm going to croak on the way home.
So you might get it.
You know what was cool though?
If I got it, you got it.
It was cool because I took my oldest son. He didn't even have his license yet. How about this? My son's crashed cars twice already.
Ooh, he's getting a fast start.
Ooh.
It's hard out here,
dude.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you fucking idiot, you know.
Did
But
he say it's not
It's
my
hard
fault?
out here
Yeah.
for a pimp.
yeah, that's a great song, right? Man, she's quick, Manny.
She's awesome. She's hilarious.
But
I wouldn't have her
that
here.
trip was super cool because I think that was like the first time I got to spend like some quality time with my son without anyone else. I think probably the last time I've ever going to share a bed with my son. You know,
Probably.
it was
probably
crazy.
right.
Yeah. And then we also missed the video of my son eating shit behind us on the stairs.
That would have been a good video, though.
Remember that?
Yeah.
You're like, hey, and his ass fucking. But that was a lot of fun. That
They did have
podcast.
the option to use 2 bedrooms, but they went for 1.
I miss my little boy. This is the last time.
Yeah, nostalgic.
Very nostalgic.
Very nostalgic.
Let's get to some of these questions. I got a ton of them.
Oh, cool.
And I want to make sure I get to them because people wanted to hear them. Last time it didn't really work the way we were planned on doing it. So let's we got a lot, man. Some really good ones too. Okay, this is from. I wish I fucking knew these people's names because it's hard to.
Right.
I don't even know how to pronounce it. It says APHANEUF16. Says if a lake has a wide variety of different bait fish from bluegills, shiners, a handful of trout stocks, and everything in between, what makes you pick, narrow down which forage to mimic?
I would say I would first start with like seasonality of it. A lake can have a lot of bluegill and it can be a major part of their food source, but if our bluegill baits are hard baits, then we're not fishing them in the 40-foot zone where they're possibly eating them. So I would say, yeah, it goes by like seasonality. You'll have your trout around in the winter months if it's anywhere like here in Arizona where they stock the trout in winter months, and then as it progresses into spring and summer is when your bluegills start coming into shallower areas, which it's kind of about like where those coincide with the bass, like where the bass are coinciding with them. So your spring and summer warmer water seasons, like your bluegills will be, I think, more effective or at least a better kind of laid out plan. And then you would also, I would also break it down by just the daily changes in their rhythm and their feeding habit, or if they're real active, then let me get a bait that's moving a lot. If they're real slow, then let me get a bait that can sit and hover, work a little slower. Paddle tail versus like a vortex type tail, same thing. So I would say that.
Do you have a couple of you can recommend like maybe like the 4 different seasons or something that you might like using?
For our waters, typically what it used to be. It would be like winter. You would want to find them in those 20 to 30 foot zones. I would look on my side imaging and with my graphing to find nice sharp ledges where that happens. Then I would go over with the side imaging and down imaging and try to figure out where the rocky interesting part is, because they would hold to like rockier structure or cages or whatever may be the interesting feature on that. And then I would go through and mark those on my waypoints. So like, my waypoints aren't spots where I've caught fish. My waypoints are actually like they're marking structure. So they're
which is a really
like,
cool point you've made before too.
Yeah.
Is like you have these groups of waypoints to kind of go around.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like your milk run, like they call.
Yeah.
And so I would know where to position my boat and where I can either me or my client cast into those waypoints and feel that, oh, okay, I'm in the rocky stuff right now. That would be my fun, ideal winter for me pattern is that, because the fish will congregate in those areas. You have more chances of hooking up with more fish, accessing them a lot. And then as it goes into those warmer months, they start moving out of there and they start coming up shallow for their spawn. I feel like everything kind of revolves around this spawn, and their habits of how they move around the lake, have a lot to do with like the phases of that spawn. So all of a sudden, maybe like I would go out there one day, and it used to be like burp, burp, one day to the next. Like, hey, we're catching them on the ledge. And then all of a sudden, like, no bites, like nothing's going on. Like, let me just turn around and fire one like towards the tulies here on the shorter, flat kind of area. And then you would like either catch a bass or see one and like, oh, they've moved up. So now let's go to all the spots that I know where like they spawn or where they migrate for that. and try to find the bigger females that are, in that kind of pattern. And so then that would lead us into like the next thing after summer, finding the bigger females. I'm not bed fishing them, but I'm looking for the ones that have from what I used to see, like their males would have their beds up super shallow. And then just off of that, it'd be like right where the lake, like right where the water starts getting darker and you can't see in, we don't have those crystal clear lakes like you guys do, but you would see like where it starts to have a little bit of like, I don't want to call it grass, but just there's darker substrate on the rocks. And that area of like the teen feet that I would call it, like 13 to 19 feet, would be where like it seems like those females are like just there hunkered down watching their males. And to me it seemed like when something would come in that zone that was like too excited, too much going on, it's kind of like they want to control that area and keep the vibe down low, like keep everything calm. We're putting nests down right here, we don't want any like wild bluegills coming in here and so when I would run something big by over that area, it's like the female it's like they communicate like, oh, that's your job. Like I can handle the little crawdads, the little bluegill here and there. But once something bigger than that comes around, like that's now you. And she would step up and like attack that swim bait. Then it would kind of put us into like post spawn. For me, post spawn was always like, yeah, there's a small window when they're like, oh, they're back to being hungry and they're going to feed. But then it becomes weird and like it's, they could be deep, they could be shallow. It's just a mess. But, again, I would just kind of run those highlight zones of the teen feet, or whether it's like on the outer edges of it or shorter edges of it. And you kind of got to try more of like, again, those ledges or shallow. That would kind of be the summer pattern, I guess. Or usually in summer, I'd kind of back off of it and like I'd only kind of go fish if it feels like a cloudy day or like a rain pattern coming in, something like that. Or like just a typical summer thing for me is like, let's go out early and try topwater, just run some topwater. And if it happens, it happens. If not, back home by 9:30, by 9:00, it's already like 105 or something. So it's like time to get off the water. And you're usually out there before like the big crowds start getting onto the water. So it's kind of nice. And then also people switch over to night fishing. Like I hate night fishing. Doesn't mean I don't know how. Doesn't mean I haven't caught tens. Why
don't you like night fishing?
I like seeing. Like I like to be able to see. I like to be able to see the fish. Sense. I like to be able to learn like what's going on. Sure. There's sometimes like when they start to trout and it's like toilet bowl flushes going on at night. Like I'm there. Again, it's not that I don't know how to do it. It's just that I prefer not. I prefer to be able to see. I like seeing. So. Yeah.
No, makes sense.
Mm-hmm, that's a typical. And the other reason too, there was one night season when I figured like, all right, I'm just gonna go get into this, and like maybe I'll put the swim baits down as much and just get the really big black worms is kind of typical, and like go out and do it. And that night I went to Saguaro, and I remember going into the channel where it narrows out of the main lake. And like I'm going and just I go right by some dude on like a stand-up paddleboard, no lights, no nothing, in the middle of the channel. Like
Jeez.
What the fuck? And then I come over here and it's like 2 boats are tied up in the middle of the channel or just coming out of it, no lights, no nothing. So it's like, oh my god, another thing I just barely saw. There was some other dude on like a little aluminum boat too that was just like, dude, this is insane. Like
they don't give a shit. The ramps aren't closed either, right? They're
right. It's just open season out there. And there's nobody checking. There's no rangers. Yeah. There's no nothing. Like nobody cares. And after that one, I was like, this isn't worth it. Like I don't care. Like for the fish that I'm gonna catch or not catch, like to kill somebody and then have it be on you.
That'd be horrible.
It's not even my fault that you're an idiot out here like thinking you're the only one on the water.
No, I agree.
So that pushed me off the whole night fishing thing. I was like, screw that. And then as we, get back summer to fall was always a really cool time for me. That's when, like I have a video on YouTube that somebody made for me, Caleb. He made this really cool like fall preview kind of video. And we were out on the rock walls of Canyon fishing the rats. So that's when I would go to like either big bill baits or rats or like big paddle tails.
What rats? What rats do you like to fish?
I like the Nazuma XL.
Okay.
Yeah, that one. And it caught everything. I would fish it in Havasu also. Like I wouldn't really downsize for it. And I love that thing. It's caught everything from like any 3-pounder to I guess 8 or 9 is probably the biggest that I've caught on it. and I love the bait. I love the bait. It's black and white, the penguin bite. It was really cool. A lot of people like got to use that bait. There's a video with Mike Gilbert and I where like I broke it. It floats luckily, but like the bill was like just under water. And I could see it, and I'm like, dude, hold my feet, I'm going in for this bill.
Oh,
like,
the video's
the
up.
waterboarding video, yeah. So I was kind of like dunking my head down in the water and like blow bubbles, and like
Going
I
swimming.
almost got it, a little more. and then it was like I stuck myself on it, couldn't get me back up. He's cracking up, I'm cracking up. I was like, I'm gonna drown. It was fun, but we put that bait back together, used it some more, and then I gave it to Jeffrey the King one day to
There you go.
Yeah, hopefully he didn't sell it.
All right, here's another one. This is from William G. Whitaker.
Oh,
Yo,
what's up, man?
Manny, like to know what you run for a fish finder for the front of your boat while fishing. I went to get my first unit, but I'm torn between a Garmin SV and a Humminbird Helix. If you had to pick one, which one would it be? And thank you.
I went with the Humminbird Helixes when they first came out, and you know, there's new stuff out there. There's different technologies, but I still feel like everything I've been able to see done, I've done with mine. So I love the Humminbird Helix. Mm-hmm.
Have you tried any other units?
Just on like other people's boats. I have not seen the Garmin's very much, and like their, you know, live kind of technology. But from what I've seen, again, like I can fish the vertical stuff just great with like the stripers. Like I'm seeing them. I can tell what size they are. I can tell when someone's going to get bit. Like, oh, there's your spoon. It's moving. He's covering it. Like, you're going to get bit. You're going to get bit. And like, boom, there they get bit. And it's like, whoa, now I'm seeing them like come up with it.
And this is with the live. Do you have the live?
No, this is just with sonar.
You know how to use it.
Right. I've just been like real used to it, and I just learned how to use it. A lot of that came from fishing those stripers, because they bite pretty well. So, well, when they're wanting to, but like you can, from that I learned like, oh, what, just by the marking of it, what size approximately, like that's a good one, or it's like that's probably something else, like a white bass or something smaller, or even I've caught little like 1 foot long largemouths in 40 or 60 feet of water,
really?
Directly under, just from a little blurb that I saw, and I could tell like, well, who knows, like it's not that big, but let me try it. And like, oh, there it is, and that's the size. So,
and that's usually spooning you're doing.
Vertical, yeah.
What kind of spoon do you like to use?
Like the nickels. And there's some other ones that are like, I don't want to talk about.
Secret time.
No, there's some other good ones that are less expensive, but you have to change out all the hardware.
Yeah,
and I tie
makes
my
sense.
own, trebles, and add a little willow blade to the top to like make it look cool. And there's things like that. But anything that's like, they're all like 7.5 inch to 10. I really don't think it matters. When they're biting. And like, and when they're not, they're not.
I would give you
anything from that to a Castmaster, because then there's times when
Really?
they're like on smaller bait,
Okay.
and I'm using some of those Castmasters, or there's a lot of new cool little ones from like Mega Bass and other Japanese companies that they're little tiny guys, but again they're all kind of aiming at that idea of it fluttering a lot, and not just like boom boom, like straight up and down, like really
What
something
about
that
an A-rig?
flutters. Yeah, you can use A-rigs, and I
Like
know there's
dumping
people
them down
that,
on stuff,
I know
like-
there's people that do that. Yeah, they jig
Yeah.
the A-rigs. I just I don't know. I don't feel like I've done wrong with those spoons so far. The either finesse metal or the heavy metal. That's what I call it. Yeah.
I would tell you
Finesse
my
model.
favorite opinion on a fish finder, but my son dropped it out of my truck, so I couldn't tell you.
Oh,
I had
What
an
was it?
HDS 9.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of a lot. I have to pay buy another one, so I want to kill him.
I'm sure you might.
And
have
this was during PCS
You might know
show.
some people that know people
I
that
hope.
can help you on that.
But
Help out, bro.
here's the next one. This is from Team Bass Pack Manny. I fished from the bank and wanted to know, how do you fish the citizens or the battle shads in the spring, and what are you looking for?
I don't fish in my from bank, so I can't really, tell you a lot about that. But I would just say, cast it out, skip it along the bottom, or if there's some other conditions where you're trying to keep it on top, you at those time of the year you could be dealing with grass, and fish it through all that stuff. And I would say I probably, when fishing from the bank, I would treat it differently than fishing from the boat, where I like throw it out, I let out line out of the reel, I want it to fall direct. when I'm fishing grass, even on the boat, which is probably more like a similar situation to fishing on shore, would be I cast it out, I engage the reel, and then I start to very slowly like reel in just so that it's tight. And then that way, when it's going down, I can feel when it lands on grass or on something other than the rocky bottom. So I would then know like, oh, okay, there's my effective bottom. And I would like speed it a little and then try to keep that speed right above that grass or whatever that you're fishing through. And they come great through grass and mats. And like when I do feel something, I don't like take the rod and like, yank it hard and like give up on the cast. I crank down with the reel and speed it up so that it'll like kind of pop a little on its side and like dust through the grass, and it looks cool. The fish like it, and you can get bit a lot doing that.
What reel and rod are you using for that?
I still like the idea of a slower 5-to-1 reel. I like the 400 size because of its spool diameter, of how it affects your line pickup when it's out far from you. So there's a reason we use the 400. It's not huge. That new Calcutta or Conquest.
They're using the TE?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, not the. I used to use the TE, but now it's the Conquest,
Okay,
like the nice
Conquest, okay.
smaller
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
Like the size 400 is what like a 200 used to be. So it's not huge. It's not like gonna hurt your hands. I have giant hands, so I have that benefit. No. And that 400 is good.
She's laughing at you.
The ratio. We deal with it. The ratio, the gearing, like that's the fish that's the reel that I would want to catch a large fish on. Like
Okay.
that one doesn't make me nervous. Like it's coming in 20, 25 or fluoro. And then of course an LDC rod. And I fished with Matt a heavy, which was cool. Like that was I usually use something that's like a XH to an H. And cast it out and retrieve and see what happens.
We kind of touched on this one. This was the question I asked you, Tony. X18, are the AZ Lakes back? He made any progress on the political stuff he touched on the first episode? Not really.
I'm running for president next. I figure anybody can do it, so let's go. I'm running for president. And, our lakes are not back, but they're not as dead as they were 2 years ago.
That's a hard one.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. When did the dip net start? It looks to work great. This is from Flowers Dad.
Yeah. So dipping the net, I guess it was like 3 years ago, maybe 4, that I had a trip with some Canadians, and it was actually the goaltender for the Phoenix Coyotes, Mike Smith.
Oh shit!
And he came out and he brought out, like, he was on the injured reserve, so he was like, "Hey, I got some time off. Like, I want to go fishing." And he's like, "I want to bring some of my other GIMP buddies." So there was like 2 other dudes from the team that are all messed up and out of surgery and this and that. They all had their injuries. It was like the GIMP crew was out, but we were out there. And at that time he requested Hemi come out. He was like, "Every time I see you guys on fish, you always got the damn dog. Like, bring his ass out too." I was like, okay, he comes by request. And then so we're fishing out there. We hadn't seen anything, and he's like, "Hey, I know what's going on here. Like, what the fuck?" And I'm like, "What? What's happening?" And he's like, "Dude, the net's dry. Like, you got to dip the net." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "Oh God, let me show you." He hobbles over there. Fucking stick this thing in the water, dip it out, shake it off, put it back in, dude. Don't be going on a dry net. Like, oh, okay. And sure enough, like I don't think we caught a fish that trip, but after that, like 2-3 things happened. They had a chance at like 2 or 3 fish. I was like, holy shit, maybe there's something to this.
So it's something that they did.
Yeah,
that.
the Canadian, like our friends from the north brought it down to me. Fuck. And now, like, after that, like I've been using it, and dude, it freaking works. And then I'll tell people about it, and they do it, and it works for them. They're like, oh my God, 10, 15 minutes later, all of a sudden, like, I got a bite or I got a fish. And we've been playing on that. And then, with all of this COVID stuff that's been going on, I've been like, the science, don't be a science denier. Like, this is scientific fact.
Don't be a science
if you don't
denier.
believe in this, you're racist. You automatically
Don't be racist.
You're gonna get canceled if you even question it. Like, we'll get you eliminated. Like,
Oh, fuck,
so
dude.
dip the net, splash the gaff. Like, it works in the saltwater too.
We'll have to start doing that over here,
splash
man.
the gaff,
Shit.
bro. And it works. And then Selina is super artistic, So she's got a really cool idea coming up for a T-shirt of
Yep.
the whole like dip the net science kind of vibe.
Yep.
So we
You
do
could-
it. I
you
did it
could
here
do-
with Matt, and of course Matt. That's bad luck. I'm like, shut up, dude.
Everything's bad luck.
Dipping the net. Shut. Yeah, everything's bad luck around Matt.
For Matt, what we're gonna do for Matt, we're gonna dip
did it
the
and it
nuts.
worked.
Dip the nuts for Matt.
Dip the big nuts. That I'll do.
Love it. Love it.
It worked. I
Love
caught a
it.
fish.
It worked.
This guy always
Yeah.
asks this question. Your favorite sandwich? It's a Bush Henry. Favorite sandwich
My
and
favorite
why?
sandwich?
Seriously, what's your favorite sandwich and why?
I like big fat tortas.
There you go. There's your
Chorizo
answer.
torta.
This is from Fish and Destroy. This is a good one. Top 3 rods for glide baits. Application in the 2 to 5 ounce range.
2 to 5 ounces. Well, check what the 2 to 5 ounce rating is in the lowdown custom rod, and that would be the one to go to. So whether that's a
So-
heavy or an extra heavy.
Are you using the same rod multiple times? You know what I'm saying? For multiple applications
Yes.
on the deck?
Yeah, for sure. Treble hook baits can all kind of accept one, and maybe hard baits you might want a little faster action. But it's all about just matching the ounce rating. Like it's not about like what brand says what as far as like extra heavy or extra heavy, whatever they denote. It's just you match the ounce rating to the bait you're using, and like off it goes.
Yeah. All right.
If you have a treble hook bait, you want a rod that's more progressive taper that'll bend more and allow you to keep those hooks in the fish when it's shaking its head. And if you have a soft bait with like a single hook, like the wire, a type of weedless bait, like the working class zero baits, then you want to drive that. You're going to need to drive that line, that hook into the fish with a lot of line out, and you want not as much stretch and not as much bend to make that all work.
Here's another good one. What are your top 3 favorite baits, and when and why do you utilize them?
My top 3 favorites. Well, I mean, my mother, the mother was always like a favorite of mine. Just a big 12-inch glide bait. The Slide Swimmer 250, like, put more fish in the boat for me than any other thing. It was huge to have people come out, learn how to swim that bait, learn how I fish it, and then they would go home and fish it and destroy. And then the working class zero battle shad like changed life up for me too. We were now able to skip and pitch into the docks, not worry about being hung up on cables, straight swim. We also fish that thing 30 to 40 feet, 20 to 40 feet or more. I mean, Mike catches them even deeper. It's just you're able to fish it deep, able to fish ledges, able to fish grass, able to fish tules. It's almost like a frog, like I could keep it on top. I've done that at the Delta. So it's super versatile, and it's kind of like if they're going to eat a soft bait, I think they're going to eat that. There's, when it first came out, there was applications where I usually thought like, oh, only the HUD will match this, and actually the Battle Shad did great. So
what are some baits you've seen that worked for a long time that just stopped working? Well, sometimes like fish get accumulated to it. Like, have you seen a couple baits where you're like, man, it used to work so good, and I hear this all the time. You hear about the castaic, was it the trout or whatever, the different baits. Like, what are some that you use that kind of just stopped working?
Well, it's for me, the reason wasn't pressure and this and that. They all worked for me, even when every bozo was out there and everybody was trying it. I don't care. Like we still put fish in the boat.
Yeah.
So it wasn't. I don't fish against pressure. I fish against the fish, and there wasn't really anything that like stopped working that I didn't think was like for another reason, not just the whole like conditioning, because sure they get conditioned to stuff, but then why don't they condition to a drop shot? Why do they not eat a popper? Or why do they not eat a spinnerbait ever again? Like, so to me,
that's a great comparison because a lot of people go, oh, they're seeing this fucking bait all the time. Well,
yeah,
they see fucking drop shots every day, all the time.
How does that still get them every time? So like, just figure out like maybe instead of trying to blame other people, maybe like you got to adjust to what's going on, and that's easier said than done. I know, but just adjust to what the new feeding kind of style is, because fish go through these, the fish are doing what the bait or, what they're doing to need to eat. So however that's coming to them or what they're having to do to get that is going to change. and it's going to change with these. We get weather cycles. The older I get, the more I do this outdoor stuff. Like the whole cycles become real apparent. And there's times when they're all seem to be really shallow and really active, and then there's times when they're all really deep and really inactive, or now they're like suspending, or what used to be a very like target oriented, ambush kind of feeding is now like an open water kind of feeding where they're happy to chase something. So I would just say that I would blame conditions and kind of cycles of weather and elements like that more than like, oh, this doesn't work anymore because that guy's throwing it too.
You've seen that lake cycle too as well, the lakes you fish.
Mm-hmm.
How many times?
I mean, I've been fishing them all my life, and I've been through already one previous like golden algae bloom that was actually more detrimental than this one. It was way more of a complete kill. And I've been seeing all like been wet years, dry years, cold years, warm years. It sucks when it's like a warm year, high pressure years where there's just like no clouds coming in, no weather patterns moving around. Those seem to be really tough for at least my style of what I like fishing. And I definitely prefer when it's like cloudy conditions, or when there's kind of, you're able to be like chasing storm fronts coming in and know like, oh, okay, I want to center like a lot of fishing time during this next Wednesday, Thursday, Friday kind of time that's coming up, rather than just, nothing's going on, nothing's coming, just, I don't know, go by the moon and this and that. So,
whatever Butch says.
Yeah.
Here's another one. This one is from Mr. McKeek, Mikek. When does he start throwing the rat?
Well, like we talked about, it was a great bait in fall, and then it was a great bait in summer. At Havasu, I would line up the tulies like directly as parallel as I could to them and crank it down, keep it just under the surface at that speed. And like I would see fish from, come from inside the tulies, dart out and like wake out to smack that thing on the edge of the tulies. So it's kind of something that, those fish, you don't usually think they would do that. Like if you were flipping and pitching, you'd be like, it needs to be way back in there. They're not going to come out for that little creature bait. It's true. But when they see that rat and there's a lot of movement and vibration going on and clicking, like they'll dart out to the edge for it. You have to have a good cast. Summer,
usually
fall,
during those time, those conditions and times.
Yeah. Rock walls, close, you want to think like if this thing was, I don't always think it's like imitating a rat. It could be a bluegill, a struggling bait fish, but a lot of times you kind of like to like, that is when more creatures are out. There's birds that are falling in the water. There's babies being born that end up in the water. So you want to play into that idea, and usually close casts and close to shore, fun shit. Yeah.
All right. This is from PBOS Chang. What is Manny's favorite line size for bigger glides, such as a hinkle trout, Roman mother? Is a 400 overkill? You kind of touched on that a little bit. You can break it down a little more.
Yeah, so, when those baits first came out, there wasn't a lot of options like there are now. It was kind of like there's two reels that are matching up. Some really important things that I found about it was it needed to be a high-speed ratio to pick up that line. Like I tried at first throwing them on a TE, Shimano, TE, and it was just like you couldn't snap it out of its glide. It would just get away from you, and then you're having to like pop the rod a lot more, and then like trying to catch up instead of just having direct control by doing your reel movements, and a little bit of rod too. But at least 8-1 or 7 at least, but the faster the better from what I've seen with those big glides. Line wise, I used to use 30-pound mono or co-poly, and I've moved that down to like 25 now. Like I've heard more people doing it, so okay. And then sometimes again, like shit, like the 400 tranks that I have might be lined up with like braid because of the spooning thing, and I didn't change that over. I didn't want to mess up that braid, so I'll grab like a 300 size 7 speed, 7 gear ratio, and that one seemed, happened to have 25 on it, and it's more comfortable. Like I'm good. Yeah, I don't feel like it's gonna break off, but it used to be like, give me that 30, so I don't want to snap them off, and I even ended up snapping everything.
Well, even
off
though
anyway.
that was, you didn't want to lose a bait.
Yeah,
at the time.
Right, exactly. I didn't want to snap it off.
Now you're a pro
snapped
staff.
everything off. Yeah, even back then I was too, but it still hurts. Not all of them are easy to get right away and all of that. And yeah, whether they're free or semi-expensive or really expensive, it all hurts the same when it's like, oh man, that bait's working and like I'm missing out on it because I freaking snapped it off.
No,
So
that's why when Butch gave me that tuned 250 for the salt, I didn't want to throw it.
right.
And I'm like, dude, yeah.
Or sea lion. Or
Yeah, and I'm like, or
stuff.
something happened, and I'm like, fuck me, dude. You know, I'll be like, damn, I shouldn't have thrown that. I lost it, you know. I do want you to tell a story that was really cool when you got hit by a bull.
Yeah.
That was a great
tell
story.
Selina that story.
Because he did tell it. I'm like, that's one thing I wanted to hit on again.
Yeah.
Because it was an awesome story. Like
Let's
when you
hear
told
it.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's
So
hear it.
I was in Mexico, and I believe I was somewhere between 10 to 12 years old. And we were at a Christmas party that my dad and uncle were putting on, a posada, like during Christmas. And what they did was they rent out like a bullfighting arena out there. And they had, tacos outside, people drinking, having fun. But one of the things they do is they'll let people go in and like bullfight. I say because it's not like a really structured, they're not killing it at the end. It's just for fun. But they let out like the smaller bulls. What do they call a younger bull, Selina? What's that?
A steer.
A steer. Okay, so they would let out these steer, and and people could like, here's the flag. Good luck. Have fun. And I remember my buddy George's dad getting like flipped completely, like his
Like Jackass.
feet went into the like Jackass style, like woo, bah, like oh, and so we're at that time it was me, Ray, Freddie, George. We were hanging out there, all still friends I talked to, and we were hanging out in the in those bullfighting rings. There's the center, which is where it's going down, and then there's little exits to go into like a middle area. What do you call that middle area? Is there a name for it?
Like the arena?
Mm-hmm. In the arena outside of. Okay, so the arena. And there's this middle part where you're kind of protected from the bull. Like you can run to there, and that's where people move around there and do whatever they need to do. So we were hanging out in that area, and somebody thought, typical Mexicans, they thought it would be real funny to let out the steer, the small bulls, into that area. And how fun it would be to watch everybody run for their fucking life, like cool. So that happened, and all of a sudden, like it was just like commotion, I remember, and we started running. And from what my friends say, like it was it was like three of us that were running, and this big fat dude came up from behind and like grabbed them two, like scooped up my two friends, and like smashed them against the wall, like to let that bull go by. But they said that I kept running and that then I froze. Like I froze, and that thing hit me from the back. It hit me and it threw me into the wall, like smeared me into the wall. And I still have like a little miniature tooth from it, like half broken tooth. I still have like this weird scar that for some reason has never gone away on my chest. I was, bloody nose, but more than that, like it was a concussion. Like I got a concussion. But the weird thing is, like, I vividly remember still to this day what went through my mind while that concussion was going on. And it was this scene of me, it didn't really maybe look like me, but I could see like my hands and my feet and my legs. And I was falling like horizontal down this well. It seemed like an old school, like water well. And I can remember like the sun being up here, kind of like this, round thing. And the sides of the well, they were like that old school, like
Rocky.
brick, limestone kind of rock brick. I
You're
remember
describing The Ring right now.
Yeah, right? Dude, fucking right.
Yeah,
Scary shit.
The Ring. The Ring.
Movie, the movie The Ring. And yeah, when I saw that, I was like, oh my God, that's what I've seen. And there was like moss growing on it. I remember the little water trickling off of it. And it was just me falling like, and then I like came back to, and somebody had me on their shoulder, and I was just dangling like while they were walking me out, and like I came back to life there, and yeah, we got like checked out, and like you're fine, you're just concussion, go home.
There's a crazy story that
They
happened.
literally
Yeah,
put you over their shoulders, though?
Yeah. Somebody just picked me up and
That's like some
dragged me over the
Saving
shoulder.
Private Ryan.
Yeah,
type
yeah.
Shit.
I got saved for sure.
Shit happens in Mexico. Huh?
I got saved, but not from the full blast of it. I still caught a bull experience. So now that I'm older, like I see like an actual bullfight, and my cousins are into that, so they kind of explained a lot more to me. And I'm like, oh man, I want to do that. Like,
Are you fucking crazy?
I want to do that. I think it'd be awesome. Like reading the body language and knowing when to pull, when to push. It's the same thing as like swim baits, reading what the fish is doing, and like learning when to give it to, when to let them come to you. Like, so I see it, and it'd be super cool to do that nowadays and end up putting that sword in its back. Finish him.
Have you been doing a lot of hunting trips at all?
Well, this year the quail and dove were pretty miserable this year, especially the dove season. I think it was because we had a cooler summer.
Yeah.
And we had a lot of rain. And I think a lot of the birds that would usually be hanging out there during our September 1st opener were just migrated much further south, because it sounds like the people that are further south, like Yuma area, they still had a good season. But our season was super whack. So I didn't do a lot of that. I haven't been drawn for anything recently, but now that I have Selina in my life again, somebody in my family got drawn for something right now. The draw results are coming out.
Oh, really?
Yep.
And there still
Someone
says like
got
pending on our game and fish portal, because they're not very technological over there. But you can tell because the credit card will get hit, and you can tell by the amount, like what kind of tag it is. It's either elk or antelope, which is the draw that we were putting into. And at that price, like it's an elk. So somebody got drawn for elk. Hopefully it's us that will be hunting, because Selina loves hunting also. Yeah. And even if not, like she also does archery. So this year we'll at least be buying some over the counter tags and going and like trying to get some archery deer. Also.
Really? You actually do a bow?
I do, yeah.
Okay.
She's got 2 before.
Does your dad do the same? Do all this too as well?
Yeah, so it actually started from my brother and sister, 16 and 14. So they always did like the youth hunt growing up and everything. So that's how I got into the archery. So I don't know much about it as they do, but I've gotten a couple deer off it. So it's
so
good.
your whole family's kind of like outdoors. Hunting,
Oh yes,
fishing.
very much so. Yeah.
Your mom too?
She's a stay-at-home mom. She's like, I'll go out on the boat, look pretty, but that's about it.
Oh, your dad has a boat as well?
Yes.
Okay. And does your dad fish a lot of the same type of water Manny does?
Not so much.
No? What does your
not
dad
so
fish?
much. It's just more so like he doesn't fish as big as Manny does, I guess. Like
He's just
as,
fishing
as technical. Yeah, like we're just out there on the boat.
Like bobbers and shit, like having fun.
No bobbers. No bobbers though.
Okay.
We're not like
so
that.
like conventional stuff then, Manny.
Yeah, he actually goes out and catches fish. And
Yeah.
What a letdown!
I
What a
use fancy-
letdown you are!
I use
You're
fancy
that
techniques
fucking
as an
meme.
excuse.
You're like that meme that when they come. I heard you like to drop shot fish. Get the fuck out of my house.
But when I do, it's big.
So your dad does a lot more conventional fishing and stuff
Yeah.
as well. Okay.
Yeah.
That's how you kind of grew up conventional fishing.
Correct.
Okay. So then you guys met on a guided trip.
No, just on Instagram.
Oh, Instagram. Okay.
Yeah.
I tried giving her a free trip. She said no. I kept trying.
I did not.
And then
say
finally the time was
no.
right.
I did not say no.
I said, all right, forget the guide, forget the trip. Let's go out for a drink.
Oh.
I didn't say no.
Yeah, you did.
I said I was busy.
Hey, I'm telling the truth right now. You did.
I said no. It's fine. I wasn't ready yet. I wasn't there yet. It's a good
Timing
thing.
was right.
Yeah, timing.
Timing was right.
Look at it now.
Oh man. What's your PB?
Huh?
Did you have you caught a big fish with Manny yet?
No.
Not yet.
Not
Stripers.
quite
You caught
yet.
some good stripers, right?
A white bass. She caught her first white
Oh, is that
bass.
white bass?
Yeah.
No stripers.
She got her first white.
Just white
Time
bass.
is coming for the stripers to show up
I've been
again.
waiting. I'm like, put me on
But
put me on a big bass.
She's a really fast
Put me on a
learner,
big bass.
and I've been showing her like she's been throwing the glides really well, fishing the glides.
I've seen you fish. I'm like, wow.
Oh.
You could cast it like on
she
his
casts
stories.
really
Thank
good.
you.
She
Yeah.
swims it
Thank
really
you.
well. Like she's ready. I think it'll definitely happen. It'll only get better. So it's coming. And that's why, we took her out here trying to get it done too. And
then you caught it. You took my fish.
I took her fish.
What a jerk. What a jerk. Typical man, huh?
Well, hey, throw there.
Or you could do what my
wife
wife caught the bass first. I didn't catch the bass first.
Yeah.
No way.
My wife, yeah. I just started learning. I got into it, and we were doing conventional shit and throwing stuff. And I had my oldest son. He was 6 or 7.
Okay.
Then I had my middle son, and I was pushing them fishing. And this was like down the street, Ralph B. Have you ever been to this?
I've been there. Uh-huh.
So my wife goes, I think I'm stuck on something. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. You're not stuck on anything. So she pulls
It's
up
a
a bass.
fish.
And I'm like,
It's a fish.
you fucking piece of shit. I'm never taking you fishing again,
I would
No, but
love
yeah,
it if she becomes
she's
the
been
one.
there. I've lost some big fish with her.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like I bought a brand new Corrado 300 and a St. Croix rod.
Uh-huh, yeah.
Fucking got dragged into the ocean.
Oh.
Because I left it sitting there.
Yeah.
See
And
ya.
I was getting the fucking trolling motor, and she's like, there it goes, Nick. I'm like, fuck it. It's October. It's cold. I'm like, not getting in.
I ain't getting in.
Yeah.
I ain't getting in.
But I think, my wife said, women have patience and men don't. That's the big thing. So they
really is.
they're better at fishing. For that reason, they're good at that.
Yeah.
If they
usually
can put
very
the
good.
pieces together, I
Yeah.
mean, that's a
Usually girls are much better than us. at
I'm sure
fishing.
you've seen it because
Yeah.
you've guided women.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah.
No, it's for real. And they take direction pretty easily, and they get it done. They got luck.
How many idiots you told to do something? They're like, yeah, whatever. Yeah.
Not that many. Everybody's been really good.
I can name one Shahab.
No, he's awesome.
No, he's not. He's a piece of shit.
He's a piece of shit.
So this was something interesting she didn't tell us previously. You raise bees.
Yes, correct.
When did you start doing that?
So my grandpa got me into it, and he was like, I'm thinking about getting some bees. Like, are you gonna take care of them? This and that. And I was like, yeah, let's do it. Let's go half and half. Like, let's go. And
because she's very into gardening and
yeah,
livestock.
Chickens
So-
too? You have chickens?
I'm a chicken mom.
So is my wife.
I'm a chicken mom.
We used to have 7 right here.
Yeah.
In the backyard right here.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
What kind? Do you know?
I used to.
Americanas,
Keep going.
True Blue Whiting.
I didn't know him because we had him. And
What's
one of
the
them
Pilgrim one.
One of them loved my wife, and her name was Red.
Silkies. They're
No, they're not
silkies,
silkies.
too. No?
I know those look kind of like
The
the
Polish
feathers.
silkies, yeah.
She used to fly on her fucking shoulder, my wife, and hang out.
What?
And she'd go swimming. Chickens would go swimming.
I have one chicken that, she's my homegirl.
Yeah.
Her name's Regina.
So we have Red. So Red one, yeah. Red was-
Regina.
So the bees, back to the bees. I'm getting off fucking
Okay.
track.
Back to the bees. Yeah, I have 28,000 bees.
which is 2 hives.
2 hives. So
How big's a hive?
about 2.
A box
A
that's
box
maybe 3 feet by
3 feet.
4 feet high.
I'd say about 5.
5
3
feet
by
high.
5.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I was buying honey from this local farmer for a while. And it was from my grandpa. And I was like, well, let's go see what he has. Like, I'm kind of curious about it, So I went out there, and he was like, well, this is what we do, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, can I come out here next week again? Like, when you harvest the honey and see it? Like, I'm really curious. And so I went out there the next weekend, and he showed me how he filtered the honey and everything. And I was like so drawn to it, basically. And I was like, okay, well, where can I find bees? Like, how can I get started into this? Blah, blah, blah. And so, yeah, he was like, okay, I have a farmer out in Coolidge. He's got 28,000 bees.
Oh, so
They're for sale.
you didn't get to step it from hey, I'm gonna do 1,000 to 10,000.
Oh, no,
It's
it was-
no, here you're going
well,
full
you-
bore.
Yeah, you can't really have a hive with 1,000.
All right.
Yeah. Well, it's not ideal. It's going to take a long time to produce honey.
All
What
right.
do you need for a hive? A queen?
A queen.
A bad
and the
bitch.
worker bees. The bad bitch. Yep. Yep.
And they sell the queens and they sell worker bees, right?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So,
Hey, Manny, are you fucking into this or what, bro?
I love this shit.
So
yeah, I'm really into this kind of stuff.
so in Arizona, the queen is about $175, and then you buy the hive.
Okay.
And so, shoot, I don't know.
Or
what
you
else
can
to
also
say.
make your own queen, right? You were describing
You
that to me.
can, yeah. With,
So here's my question
I don't
that
know
I
what
really
to
want to ask. Killer bees.
killer bees.
Ever run into them?
No. Actually, no, I take that back. About 2 years ago, so they call them Africanized bees. Yeah. And a swarm must have came through my hive because I had bees. Boom, 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 boom.
Just dead?
Like dead. Yeah. I have
wow.
a video of it actually, and they're like a whole bunch of black spots on the ground. And I still had bees, but a swarm definitely came through. An Africanized swarm came through, and they'll like take over. Like, this is my territory, whatever, you know. And so I still
they're
had
after
bees.
the territory then. They're not after their honey. They're after like their territory.
No, it's definitely a territorial thing.
Oh wow.
And so, but like I actually have it written here. The queen lays.
Hey, haven't you done a podcast before?
No.
You guys did one
She
together.
came
No,
with me.
I've never
Yeah.
done
She came
one.
with me, but she was like, I'm not talking.
I told him today.
No,
I told him today. I was like, I'm so nervous. Like, I had that feeling in my chest. And he's like, you're just having a conversation. I'm like, but I get so worked up. So a queen lays actually 600 to 800 eggs a day. Yeah. Each day during her 3 or 4 year lifetime.
I like this stuff. How much honey?
I don't know.
How much honey is extracted?
I don't know what else to say.
How much honey do you get out of like a harvest? How does that break down?
And do you sell it? Like, I mean, there's a ton of questions. Like,
So 28,000 is not enough to sell at like a farmer's market.
Because how much honey comes out of them? How much do they produce a day?
I'll get to it.
Yeah.
yeah, man.
So
Come on, let her talk.
It's not enough. Like I get about 12 ounces, 12-ounce jars out of a harvest, and that's every 6 months, 4 to 6 months, depending on.
Which is a lot of honey just for your house. Like, if you're gonna have 8,
like
or a buddy, give
it's
a couple
just
buddies.
more of a local thing. Like, I give it to my friends, family, like maybe my clients or whatever, and that's about it. But it's not enough to. Okay, I'm gonna go put it in the farmer's market. Oh, I do actually have a cool one. Gosh, you guys are making me nervous.
Thank God we're not making you shotgun beers
Oh,
with
okay.
us.
No, this one. Wait, what'd you say?
I said, thank God we're not making you shotgun beers with us.
You can handle that.
Probably. So the average honeybee will actually make only 1/12 of a teaspoon of honey in its whole lifetime.
What a shitty life.
That's insane. Yeah.
Shitty life.
It's all work, no fun. But it makes you like respect honey when you have it even more, I would say. Like when you bought it, you realize why it's kind of expensive to buy and what goes into it. You're like, oh, I don't want to like waste any of it now. You know, you realize.
Well, you know what's
like,
crazy is like
a lot of work that went into making
I
this.
agree. But there's things like they made my wife's super big on like recycling and like she didn't eat meat for 3 years. Neither did my smallest one because she watched What the Health.
Yeah.
Oh.
And I'm like, oh. Then we went to Idaho, and my uncle's a big archer, like a hunter.
Yeah.
Hunts like elk, everything. My cousin, he's a guide. His name's Tyson. Up and down the Snake River for fly fishing.
Yeah.
And they're like big hunters, and I'm like, you don't eat meat. They're telling my wife, and I'm like, don't fucking talk to me. Talk to her. You know, like I'm like eat it all the time. I eat the fuck out of me. You know, but it's crazy. Yeah.
Get out here with that shit.
But my wife changed her mind. Like we had the chickens. Like eating those eggs is like you get a little golden
totally
present
different.
from them. And
there's a
like
a reward system that comes with that. Same with gardening. Same with raising livestock, everything. Like, I know what I
What
fed
livestock?
this animal.
What livestock do you raise?
Pigs, mostly.
Do you have to
And
kill them?
I've raised cattle as well.
Do you have to kill the pig? Have you done that all?
I've actually butchered a cow before.
Did you get the like No Country for Old Men and fucking pop?
Yeah.
No.
No, I haven't done that, but I've
The
seen it
pneumatic
happen.
device.
I've seen it happen though.
She's been there for
Yeah.
it, right?
I've seen
Have
it.
you have you bled them out like where they cut the throats and bleed them? And Manny's done that shit, right,
I've
Manny?
seen it.
Yeah,
but
yeah, I've done that with a goat.
Yeah.
I've seen it, but I haven't done it myself.
No.
No.
But you like cut them up, did everything you had to do, like.
Only with a cow. So actually, we had this problema, so to speak. So my how do I
cow?
How do I say this? So we had like a young steer, and he choked on his hay, and so my brother and sister came running in, and they're like, "He's laying on the ground. He's not breathing." And my mom was like, "He's fine. He's just laying down." And they're like, "No, he's really not breathing." And so then my dad went out there and he saw him and he was like, "Oh, he choked on his hay and didn't get enough water." And so, yeah, he yelled at my mom. He was like, "Go get the sharpest knives you have."
It's
blah,
veal
blah,
time.
blah. Like veal time. Yeah. Like, let's go. Like,
Shit.
Like, I'm not letting this meat go to waste. Like,
So you guys,
this
grew
is-
up on a farm.
yes, correct.
Like a full
yeah.
on, like, do you have a brother and a sister?
Yeah.
So your brother, is he out with your dad working on the farm, or is your dad?
He's younger, so he's 15.
Okay.
And I'm 25, so there's like kind of a age gap between us. So we all had I've all been raised with girls. But yeah, my dad was like, "Go get the sharpest knives you got, blah, blah, blah. Get your mom." And I was like, "Oh, shit. And so, yeah, we cut him open. And because if you let that meat sit, the stomach acid will tarnish the meat, you know. And so he was like, "I'm not letting this meat go to waste. Like, I paid X amount of dollars for this fucking cow.
Right,
like,
dude.
let's go. Like, we're getting some good veal tonight." And so we did that, but I've never done it myself other than that. I just helped him. We put it in a cooler, and then we took it to the processing after that.
You've butchered deer, though.
Yeah, I've gutted out deer and elk, yeah.
Yeah, she's done the deer and elk. And with her 4-H club, she like can judge the cuts of meat and stuff. So like, she
really?
knows
She's
what they
really
should be. Yeah.
Now,
So I'm actually a teacher and a leader for 4-H.
well, it's a big deal. I'm not.
Not many people know about it though.
It's cool. I don't have many lady anglers on the podcast, so it's
Yeah.
cool to have one on. You know, like
Right.
the archery thing. You actually kill the deer with a
Correct.
really bow and arrow.
Yeah.
What's
She had
size?
been practicing for
What
months.
size do you wear? Like what? I know there's different sizes you use, right? You know, like
There's
like
like
70
poundages.
pound, whatever,
there's
80 pound.
different poundages.
I
and
already
hers is
told him, I
probably-
was like, I don't know what I use. I just put whatever.
Usually it's like
my
somewhere in
dad
the
puts in
30s
my
to
hand.
40s for like a lady doing
yeah,
it.
I
And
think it's 35 pounds
yeah,
for the
probably,
pole.
Probably 35 compound bow.
30 or
and
35.
I was
I know
watching
that.
on her Instagram and she was like talking about like, I've been practicing a lot
lurking
for
over
it.
here.
Yeah. And then, like definitely like
But
you know.
I don't know much about that. I'm like,
mm-hmm.
whatever my dad tells me to do, I just do it. And I kill it.
But like
That's
you know,
all.
on our first date, like it was like, oh well, this is easy. There's enough for us to talk about. And one of the things I asked her was like, so tell me about like your archery hunt. Like I think
She's
that's
like,
super cool.
I don't know.
Yeah, but she had been practicing for a
I
while
don't fucking know.
because she knows like in archery it's really important to get a very clean, ethical shot. Like you don't want to just
you
wound
can't
it.
mess it up. It's not like a gun to where like, oh, okay, you had a bad shot, shoot it again. No, it's not that. Like,
No,
you gotta
I
get a
watch
bad-
Meat
you
Eater.
gotta get
I've
a
seen
good
it
shot.
on Meat Eater. Like,
yeah.
have you met her dad yet?
No,
What the fuck, really?
I know it's gonna be. So
You bring a Mexican home?
I'm not that. I'm not very different in age as her father. He started having kids. at a
Wait.
very
How
young
old's your
age.
dad? How old's your dad? You got to tell me now.
Take a guess.
Is he close
I'm 44.
to our age?
I'm 44.
So
Take a
hold on.
guess.
You're 20.
Take a guess off that.
I'm going to take a guess. So I have a 17-year-old. I'm going to tell you. I
Oh,
have a
shit.
kid
Oh,
here.
shit. Here
So,
we go.
I'm going to say he's 47.
He's 50.
That's not far.
It's not far.
Do you know what's crazy is you hang out I hang out with dudes that are older, and then I'll hang out with guys that are like Seth, 22, 3, 4. And I'm like, I could be your fucking dad, dude. You know, like, so it's not really with men. I don't think it's a bigger difference. But
Yeah.
have you told your dad you're dating Manny?
My mom knows. Well, she knows that I have a boyfriend.
The dad's a tough situation. He sounds a lot like my father, which can be very like strict and very like set in their ways.
It's different when you have a daughter, though. Like,
So are you gonna
We've
what's
got
your
a plan. We've
Do you-
got a
I gotta
plan.
hear the plan.
we got a plan.
I have one more
So-
question. Can I have another beer? You can't get me going, dude.
No.
I'm gonna
We've got a
keep
plan,
going, dude.
And I know this is
No,
kind
I
of
got a-
good
I got
because
a
my
plan.
sister dropped one
got
of
a
these
plan.
type of plans on my
sorry.
parents one
Okay,
time.
that's fine. You're so nice. She's the best,
Yeah, she really is.
dude. This is
So-
the best. See, you guys
So-
left out all the good fucking shit of the podcast. Like,
I know.
we're fucking starting over
I know.
again. I'm like, oh,
telling
that's
you.
fucking great.
I know. She's so interesting.
So, no, he's going to meet my parents at fair. So,
What's fair?
So remember, like when I
Oh,
talked
okay,
to you
yes,
about
yes,
4-H.
yes, yes, yes.
So we go and we show our livestock, auction them off. So
So, you want to go bathroom?
I'm going to take
Okay.
outside.
Hey, go for it.
so
We're
one
listening.
day is sportsmanship, and the next day is for the actual animal itself.
Okay.
So the first day is like how you're treating your animal. If they're paying attention, you're supposed to be looking
like
at.
Charlotte's Web.
Yes, yes. That's so funny you say that because I've always told people, like, when they don't know what 4-H is or, like, fair or anything, I'm like, think of Charlotte's Web. It's literally
We
like
watch that movie all the time at
It's
my house.
literally like that. So, yeah. So the first day is showmanship. And that's, like, eye contact with the judge and how you're leading your pig. They're not looking at your pig. They're looking at you. And
Her family has these show pigs.
with
do really
pigs
well.
and
Charlotte's
stuff.
Web. We were just talking about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so with
They're gonna show
pigs,
this
like
pig.
you have
Just
You
wait
have,
till he
like-
Next
comes in.
pig up.
He's got
Manny
boards.
Chee.
He's got boards and shit.
Oh,
Like,
this is my
he's gonna come get
boyfriend.
you. Ah!
Yeah. This is my lady.
so with pigs, like when they're in the ring and everything, like you have a brush on your back. You're supposed to be brushing them off, like if they poop or whatever, and looking at the judge, eye contact, everything. So it's all about showmanship and how you show yourself. And then the second day, that's all about the pig. Like it's all about the way he walks, if his butt moves too much, and the way they, how do I say this? Like their posture, the way they hold their neck up and everything. Their legs, their hind legs, that's like a big thing. And then the third day is just like a kind of a play day, just like in Charlotte's Web. So you know how they like
to go to the
ride
carnival.
they
And they get the
ride the
popcorn
rides.
and eat
No,
all the
that's
bullshit.
the thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
So the
okay.
Friday is like a free day, and then
Is that the day you're bringing Manny Chee?
no, he's going for the show.
So you got to introduce him.
In public, I
He's-
can't get
he's
too
going
murdered
for the
or
show.
like lost and not found.
He's going
That
for
way.
the show.
In
Are
public.
you, hey, seriously, truthfully, are you kind of nervous a little bit?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, for sure, definitely.
I think I'd be nervous.
It'll be
too.
the hardest trip I've ever, the hardest client I've ever had. I always say that about like
Hold
my
on.
father.
How about this? Does your dad know who Manny is?
No.
No.
Does your mom already probably alerted him? Right? No, your mom hasn't.
Everybody's scared of him.
Of your dad. You're really fucked.
They're like, I don't want to be the one to make him mad. You make him mad.
Yeah, my dad's like the honcho of the family. So no.
Now, here's a
and no
question.
one's like
How
everyone's
far away do you guys live from each other? Like, how far away did you grow up from
Not far.
Manny?
oh, not far
20
at all.
minutes, 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So the same.
45 minutes.
It's
Like,
a-
Oh, yeah.
Her parents' farm is like 45 minutes from where I live. So it's like it's a farm, but it's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
like out in the middle of nowhere kind of farm.
Okay.
It's
Well, it used to be,
it
but
used to be. Now it's like an urban
Used to
farm.
be.
we would call it.
Hey, this is kind of scary. I'm gonna have to have you on around too and be like, so what did Dad say?
I mean, like, I brought a crew so that you can't do anything to me, bro. These people care about me.
Wow, that's kind of nerve wracking a little, right?
Very,
a little bit.
especially
Yeah.
for her.
Yeah.
She's been
Yeah,
very
a little
worried
bit.
about it.
My
You
dad's,
don't care, huh?
I don't care.
Like you're happy, like you don't like. What if your dad's like, "What the fuck? What are you gonna say?" Like, I mean,
Oh
you're-
yeah,
you're
I'd be like,
you're a grown woman. I mean, even with my
Take
son,
it or
he's
leave it.
17. It's like some of the shit he does. I'm like, what am I gonna do?
Yeah.
I can't stop it.
I've already told Manny. I was like, my dad will love you.
And I've already met like an aunt
love
and
you.
some cousins out
And
here.
yeah, she
Hey,
said
they
the
like
same.
That's
me.
not the same
She
as
said the
fucking dad,
same.
bro.
No, I know. My family loves her. Absolutely loves her. They adore her. They're like, you found a real gem,
And Jewel.
jewel. And
Hey, get it right,
yeah,
dickhead.
they absolutely like her. They've all welcomed her, uncles, aunts, but I come from like an old school Mexican family, and even though she's Mexican and German, I would say that it's a little more leaning towards like your modern white family,
So my
We're
wife,
still a little bit old school. We're still
Yeah.
but they're a
old
little
school.
more modern. Okay, I get
Yeah,
you.
not like mine. Yeah.
So like
I'm like
my
old school
grandma
Mexico.
saw my wife when I first met her. She's Norwegian, my wife.
Oh, okay.
So that's her background. And I remember my grandma saw her and she passed away, I think like 10 years ago. And she's crazy, Mexico. She goes, "What is that on her back?" Because my wife has a tattoo. On her
Oh, shoot.
And I'm like, "Oh, fuck. It's a tramp stamp.
That's some of those first.
It's a Target, Grandma."
Just a casual tramp
That's
stamp.
some of those first questions that my parents ask. How many tattoos you have? How many piercings?
No, I wasn't raised with that. Yeah.
Well,
My dad always told me, he's like, if you get any kind of ink on your body, I'm disowning you. Like da 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 da.
And it's for real.
This is kind of intense. I can't wait to hear what happens.
I'll let you know. I'll let you know how it goes. It's definitely not going to be we're happy to meet you.
Because I mean, just
Like,
like looking at your guys' story, I'm like, oh fuck. Seems like Manny's getting along. They probably met
Yeah.
the mom and no, I haven't met the mom and dad yet.
no, not yet.
But then again, I'm fucking 20 something years removed from dating. I've been
Yeah.
married for I've been with my wife for 22 years.
Yeah, I think most normal people don't meet them at
Oh,
3
beautiful.
months, though.
Congratulations,
Thank
by
you.
the way.
Yeah,
I
congrats.
appreciate
I think,
that.
God, our fucking 18-year anniversary is coming up.
Oh, wow.
Fuck,
That's big.
I know. I gotta do something.
So do
good.
you feel like it's 18 years or do you feel like how do you feel?
I still feel young, but I'm not.
Okay, that's good. We're on to
No, I
something.
don't feel like it's
We're
18
on to
years. I mean,
something.
when people tell me that, I remember celebrating my mom and dad's like 25th wedding anniversary. I'm like, it seemed forever because you were born when they were,
Yeah.
but it's like not really that long. Like she's just fucking seen me throw up, drunk, do everything bad my whole life. And it's like, and she dealt with me. So, hey, that's why I call her the Viking. Because she's
Aw.
Norwegian and she fucking lays the law down on people all the time. She'll yell at everyone.
She's the boss lady.
She is.
The boss lady.
They know.
I like
Everyone
it.
knows.
I like it.
Yeah,
I like her
Manny
already. I
Manny
like
has
her
one now.
already. She's a boss
I don't know
lady.
how you call a German, half German boss lady.
There's no bosses here. I'm the boss.
Oh, hey, the true Mexican's coming out.
Yeah. You want a Mexican.
All right, guys. Well, hey, I can't wait to hear round 2 of this. I'm probably going to come back to Arizona by that time.
Hopefully I'll still be alive.
You'll be alive. That's my next trip. So I'm doing my fucking NorCal trip, and then I'm going to come back and do an Arizona trip.
Oh, cool.
I'm going to do have a ton of guys lined up.
Nice.
Yeah, so it'll be cool. But thank you for opening her up to do this because this is fucking great. They
I
didn't know,
had,
like,
think
I
so,
had
yeah.
a lot to say. I was ready.
So that's another fucking like 20
I was
minutes.
ready.
I appreciate that. Thank you, Manny, for pushing her.
No, thank you
All
for
right,
having
thanks,
us,
guys.
guys.
Thank you.